It's time for an episode of View from the Military Mind for March 20th, 2021. Views and opinions about world and national events from the mind of a military veteran that has served and defended this country since 1978. Insight that has been molded by the commitment and sacrifices of the Americans that are defending and have defended our freedoms for the past 247 years. Unfiltered, unedited, and certainly not PC. We are those people. Stand up and stand firm. Glad you could join us today for this episode. Today's intro music is by a young lady with an awesome voice from South Central Tennessee. Tessa Perry was born and raised in Ardmore, Tennessee, where she began singing at the early age of 9, when she entered a talent contest at her elementary school and won grand champion in her age group. By age 12, she was performing in competitions and local fairs, always pleasing her audiences and judges, winning numerous awards. And accolades. Oh boy, I'm stumbling already. This is a great young lady. She recorded her first album at age 14. At age 19, began writing her own songs. Listen as this wonderful young woman brings country music to your ears in a way only she can. All right. Awesome, awesome song uh, by this young lady. She has a great album, and I'll give you a little more information later on how to obtain that album, and so you can hear some more of her music. And we'll play some more as the show goes through. In fact, I'm gonna put up here a picture of her album. The album's called "Grandma's House" by Tessa Perry, and it's really awesome. A really awesome album. I'm being told they can't hear it, so we'll see if we can't fix that and make sure you can hear the music that's coming out. But anyway, welcome to the show. Today we do have some good stuff going on. First up, we've got a feel-good story about a Marine who's awarded the highest non-combat medal for heroic actions following the rescue of a 10-year-old child from ocean rip currents off the coast of North Carolina. So that's an awesome thing to hear about one of our service members, and we'll get into that short story here in just a little bit. Number two is, what the hell are Canadian courts doing? And will the U.S. justice system suffer the same fate? There's a man in British Columbia, Canada, that was jailed after being accused of misgendering his own daughter. She claims that she's not sure about her gender and claims to be a male. This child is 14 years old, but the courts up there decided they were going to jail him. So we'll get into that story too. Our third story for today is, have our military leaders lost their minds? Why are they choosing new enemies and attacking Americans just because they criticize you? There's been some people criticize our current civilian military administration, and now they're choosing to pick a fight with those people. So much for the First Amendment, right? And finally, the National Guard fiasco in D.C. Being Army has definitely gone too far, allowing politicalization of our troops and using those troops to advance their agenda. Come on, Lloyd Austin, don't burn your earned and honored stars on entry into the DC atmosphere. The air there is toxic. And as always, I'll have my comments and stuff at the near the end of the show in our last segment. So hang tight. I got a quick little ad here I got to read. Always got to keep the sponsors happy and those who support us. Now, as many of you know, I co-host a show every Tuesday and Thursday at 10 Central, 11 Eastern. And that's Moving It Right, a conservative news and opinion show hosted by Rich Ashton, where we stand for the flag and defend our unalienable rights. We talk about the events of the day from a conservative viewpoint, and we invite your opinion. You can find him on Facebook and YouTube for Moving It Right, and you can join the group there, and you can comment and leave opinions on the chat room. Just like with me here on View from Military Mind, you can come on the Facebook page or on the YouTube page, and you can put your comments in the chat, and we see those live, and we make comment on those. You can join me and Rich live on both Facebook and YouTube for Moving It Right at 10 Central and 11 Eastern on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And you can join Rich every weekday at 10 Central and 11 Eastern, again on Facebook and YouTube. That's Moving It Right for conservative news and opinion and talk. So hopefully here real soon. We'll see you there. I will be there Tuesday. Like I said, that's 10 Central, 11 Eastern on YouTube and Facebook with Moving It Right. All right, well, we're going to go ahead and move into our first story here, talking about this young man, Sergeant Danny Mcdonald. He's assigned to the weapons company, second of the 6th Marines. He was in Surf City, North Carolina in early 2019 when he heard shouts from a kid in the water. And of course, when you're at the beach like that, you kind of assume it's just the kids playing and they're out there having a good time and just making a lot of noise. But that was not the case with this particular situation. This particular situation, the young man was screaming for help. He said at first he thought it was just another child playing in the water, but realized the screams were a plea. He said, I realized the screaming was become more and more frequent and a lot louder, and a crowd was gathering at the beach. I got up to see what was going on, and I saw him struggling out in the water, McDonald said in a Marine Corps press release. I immediately sprinted across the sand and dove into the water. Upon entering into the water, he swam out roughly 300 feet into the surf. He found the child was having a seizure while trapped in the rip current. Putting the child on his chest, the Marine fought against the current to get the child safely to dry land. And then once ashore, the boy was assessed by a Navy corpsman who happened to also be on the beach while other Marines had called for emergency services. I hope they awarded that corpsman for being there to provide life-saving services for this young man. The boy was ultimately fine, solely thanks to the bravery of McDonald's eyewitnesses said. And he said, if not for me, then who, McDonald said. That's what it boils down to. I would do it to anyone in any situation, and I would hope someone would help me if I'm ever in trouble. In honor of his efforts, McDonald, a scout sniper currently assigned to the 2nd Battalion, 6th Marines stationed at Camp Lejeune in North Carolina, was awarded the Navy and Marine Corps Medal. That's the service's highest non-combat medal for heroic actions. It exemplifies what it means to be a Marine. Captain Walter Graves, commander of the weapons company, 2nd of the 6th, said March 17 release. Initiative, fearlessness in the face of danger and hardship. It's exactly what we want all Marines to do. We have all of these characteristics that define Marines: our honor, our courage, and our commitment. Sergeant McDonald models each of those characteristics, he added. And for McDonald, the award was shocking and humbling. He hadn't anticipated or expected it. He'd gone on to say, it's honestly bigger than something I could ever imagine. Just by something happening on the beach out of the blue turned into something this big. It's honestly humbling. And he says, I'm super honored for everyone to show up and support, and thankful to the people who presented the award and to the people that were involved in pushing this all the way up the way it went. And he greatly appreciated it. So, hoorah, Semper Fi, outstanding job, Marine. You make us all proud to serve our nation, no matter what uniform we wear when we have the opportunity to serve beside somebody with the kind of stature that you have attained and you exemplify. So, Sergeant Mcdonald, congratulations and great job. Great job. So, all right. Well, we're going to catch a quick commercial. Excuse me. And we're going to try to fix this music issue here. See if we can get that fixed and see what's going on there. Carol, welcome aboard. Dave Glovin. I guess there's a few of them back there, Fred and Danny, that I can't see. Carol's let me know they're watching. So hang tight, and we're going to pop this stream up right real quick and play this video for you. And one more PSA. We'll be right back.
I was in the hospital with my son for 18 months.
When he got injured, I knew I had to be strong.
I just remember rushing into his room and giving him a big hug and letting him know I was there.
These veterans and families are just a few of the heroes we serve at Homes for Our Troops. We build specially adapted custom homes with features like wheelchair access and automatic door openers that allow them to focus on their recovery and family.
This house is freedom.
It's hope. It's a new beginning.
Visit hfotusa.org.
All right, we're back, and I'm still working with this technical. It's rough when you're your own engineer, and you cannot always get the things that you need to get to when you're by yourself. So, trying to fix some of this music issues. I really do want you all to hear this young lady perform. Stand by 1 minute for me. I know it's not the way most show hosts do their things, but like I said, haven't got a whole lot of choice on this aspect. Got to be able to make sure that you can hear this music, and we get it out there for you. Because, like I said, it's an awesome young lady. Tessa Perry does a wonderful job at providing the music that she provides, and I do want you to hear it. So it is one of those things. But we will make sure that it does happen. If I can stand by 1 minute, I'll see if I can make it happen here. There we go. I think we got it now. So anyway, that is what it is. And we'll make, like I said, we'll make it happen here. We always got to do something oddball and different. Okay, and now moving on to our next story. We talked earlier about a man is accused of misgendering his own 14-year-old daughter and then was jailed by the Canadian courts. And my question is, could this happen in the United States? With the push to use things like puberty blockers, it's possible. We've been hearing the story where there's some people out there want you to, they want you to let your child, and this is under 16, decide what their gender is. It's like, are you nuts? So this precedent is being set by a government that progressive advocates seem to want to emulate is a dangerous path. And we've seen many of our rights diminished and attacked already. Now a judge in another country is usurping basic parental rights. This child is only 14 years old. Keep that in mind. She's 14. How can you let a child make that kind of decision? You need parental guidance. But the basic story had it came out of the Western Journal. A Canadian man who they've withheld his name, of course, from British Columbia, has been jailed after speaking about his vehement opposition to his gender-confused daughter's attempt to change her sex. and for referring to her as a girl. He called her what she is. The father objects to a court order allowing his daughter to undergo a chemical sex change and refuses to be silenced or cowed to submission by provincial authorities who want to compel him to lie about the sex of his daughter. This kind of thing can't stand. This is ridiculous because other countries see this going on up there. And like I mentioned in the prelude to it, our own country tries to emulate some of these things that goes on in the Canadian courts. So not only is this an unconstitutional violation of the father's charter right or an inalienable right to the freedom of expression, it's an absolute travesty of parental rights and a tyrannical form of compelled speech. In a sane world, this would not be an issue. Our world has gone a little bit insane. So, but with the courts now acting as the enforcers of the most radical parts of the LGBT agenda, was now see to it that that national and local legislators step in before the only people with any rights at all are homosexuals and gender-confused children. I know that's a little extreme to say, but that's the very basic on this, very possibility. A 14-year-old girl cannot properly consent to the type of medical experimentation involved in attempting to change sex, including puberty blockers, opposite sex hormone treatment, and even surgery, which all have lifelong effects, precisely because of her immaturity and lack of life experience. What 14-year-old child that can make these kind of decisions or knows all the facts about it? I mean, hell, I've even talked to people as 21 or 22 years old that don't know everything about it, that don't know what they're getting themselves into. And later on, some do regret it. This is why this father is entitled and obligated to step in on behalf of his daughter, even if it means forbidding these procedures or, at very minimum, putting them off until she reaches the legal age of maturity or legal age of consent. This child is not even old enough to consent to anything. She can't sign a contract. She can't she can't vote. She can't do anything like that at all. Indeed, in court, the father stated he was objecting to his daughter's sex change and the court's bully boy tactics for her best interests. But evidently, the only way the courts thought they could silence him was to send him to jail, and they did so. They jailed him for that. The litigation director for the Justice Center for Constitutional Freedoms, whose legal counsel organization is helping with the case, stated, "We have ongoing grave concerns about the state's imposition of ideology and gender orthodoxy in this case, and others like it, to override parental rights and freedom of expression, and concerned and dissenting medical opinions. Anytime the state attempts to become the enforcer of ideology or dogma, it asserts infallibility and overturns the marketplace of ideas and the constitutional rights, in this case of Canadians. This is not the proper role of the state. Oppression is always sure to follow. In all reality, this immoral and unjust ruling must be overturned up there. And this father must be allowed to resume his care for his daughter and his parental authority. And we see here in the States this kind of thing going on. The courts ordering parents that are of good standing and competent, ordering them to allow the child to do what they want. I'm sorry, folks, what happened to us being parents and teaching our children right from wrong and the proper way to do things, and telling them, and teaching them about our faith and our beliefs? And I mean, this is just basic science, biology, male, female. It's crazy. And hold the child to the standard that when you become the age of decision making, the age of maturity, you can make these decisions on your own. But right now, you're trying to take it away from the parents. So I could go on and on and on about this. It just drives me simply nuts to see this kind of thing happening. And again, a reason I bring it up is because we can see this happen here in our country with the LGBTQ agenda that's going on right now, and the push for some of the most insane, non-scientific things. The gender changes through surgery and convincing kids through indoctrination in our schools that this is okay, and it's not. It's not. You are what you are when you're born. You may go through this surgery, but when they test you later, they give you a DNA test. Guess what? You're still a male. You haven't changed your chromosomes. You haven't changed natural science. So we've got to put a stop to this. This is absolutely crazy. So I can rant all day long on this and go on, but I won't. We need to go on to our next segment. But what I am going to do, since we have, I think I've got the music thing fixed. Carol, if you can let me know when I go live, go with this next one. But stand by right real quick. We're going to pop up that album image again, and I'm going to bring you another song from Tessa Perry. Like I said, she's an awesome young artist. So we're going to listen to one more tune by her before we go on to the next segment. So just hang tight with me there, and we'll get this one rocking out for you. I know we're going to get this one this time. All right, we'll be right back. What happened to the first song? So towards the end of the show, we'll get that first song up called Grandma's House. It's a wonderful song. I'm really impressed with this young lady. And I really want to thank her mom, Kindley, for introducing me to her music and getting me the CD. Sorry for the audio screw ups. It happens. Like I said, when you engineer by yourself, you kind of get some guffaws in there that you can't fix. and you just adapt and improvise. So I hope you heard that one, called Original Redneck by Tessa Perry. And like I said, later on in the show, we'll get Grandma's House up there, the first cut on that CD. Now, if you want that CD, it is available. You can look for it online. If you can't find it, like I said, it's called Tessa Perry, Grandma's House. But if you can't find it online, shoot me an email at vfamm2020@gmail.com, or leave me a comment on View from Military Mind on my Facebook page, and let me know you'd like to have a copy of that. And I'll get in contact with you, and I'll get your personal information. Now, I do have one special thing, and again, I want to thank Kindley for this. We're going to have an autographed CD by Tessa Perry available. I'm going to give you a trivia question a little later on. And the person with the correct answer, who either posts it on Facebook or emails me at vfamm2020@gmail.com, whoever answers that question, gives me the correct answer, will get that autographed CD of Tessa Perry's Grandma House, autographed by Tessa Perry. And we'll get that out to you right after that. And I'll give you that question later on in the show. So be paying attention, stick with me, and we'll have a question for you, a little trivia question. And it'll have something to do with today's show or with my show in general. But just stay tuned for that. And if you answer that question right, we'll get that autographed CD to you by Tessa Perry at Grandma's House. So, okay, going on to our next segment. Excuse me. This one hits close to home for me with the National Guard. The National Guard fiasco in D.C. Big Army has definitely gone too far. And we've got some representatives that have gone too far with this. Some of them are asking for a loyalty test to see where our loyalties lie. You want to know about my political standings. Guess what? No. None of your damn business, because the military is supposed to be apolitical. I took an oath of loyalty when I first enlisted in 1978 to defend my country and its citizens against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Doesn't say I'm swearing loyalty to my government or those idiots that we managed to mess up and put in place. Okay, I didn't swear loyalty to a president or to a congressman or to a senator or some appointed hack that's sitting up there at the top. That's not where my loyalties lie. Nor does it lie with any other soldier that I know. And if you're a soldier out there listening to this and your loyalties lie elsewhere, let me know. I'd like to talk to you. I'd like to have you come on the air and explain to me why your loyalties are not to your country and the defense of it against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Let me know what that is. I'd really like to know that. Because to be honest, in my viewpoint, and from what I was taught in all my years in the military, you're in the wrong damn place. Okay? And now our military is picking new enemies. We've all heard about the Tucker Carlson commentary. Yeah. Now the military's turned around and unleashed their wrath, inward into the United States on Tucker Carlson. Now, do I agree with everything that Tucker says? No. Okay. But I listen to him. He's usually spot on. He gets a little bit over the top like I do sometimes. But when you've got your military playing political, you have things like Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin expressed his revulsion after Carlson questioned the role of women in combat. Keeping women mostly out of combat had been the U.S. military's centuries-long orthodoxy until just a few years ago. Now, don't get me wrong. I have no problem with women in combat. They should be allowed to serve in any role that they deem themselves capable of performing. Okay? But I know where this issue came up at, and a lot of your mainstream media isn't pointing it out. They're providing maternity flight suits for some of these young ladies. Okay, ladies, I don't know about you, but I was involved in the medical field for a while. There is a point in time in your pregnancy, you don't need to be flying. You don't need to be in combat. You don't need to be out there stressing your body any more than what the baby is stressing it already. Let's wake up. But we're in the woke society. We're going to be politically correct. Listen to that again. Here we're in a political organization, United States military. But we're going to be politically correct. Does that make sense to you? It doesn't make sense to me. Even the Pentagon spokesman, John Kirby, compared Carlson to the communist Chinese military. He said, what we absolutely won't do is take personal advice from a talk show host or the Chinese military. Huh? I didn't know Tucker Carlson had any connection to the Chinese military, but evidently this guy thinks so, which is the problem he was thinking. Then the Defense Department website further boasted a headline that says Press Secretary smites Fox host. So what was a biblically smitten Carlson's crime? He objected to the military's fixation on race and gender in high-profile appointments and questioned whether standards were relaxed to permit women in combat units. And he's got a good question. Did they relax them? I haven't seen it. I can't touch on that. I can only go with what Tucker Carlson is talking about. Carlson also objected the U.S. Capitol is currently militarized. More troops are on the ground against purported American insurrectionists, which, by the way, nothing has happened since January 6th. Supposedly all kinds of chatter out there. Credible threats, but nothing has happened at all. And before some of you people out there say, well, there is a possibility. There's a possibility I can get a rocket up my butt standing out here on Main Street in Huntsville, Alabama, or Jackson, Mississippi, just as soon as I'm going to get an insurrection in the nation's capital. Okay, we had a few hardheads, a few fools got out there and did something stupid. Yes, that did happen. They went in there, they created havoc. But there were a lot of people there, and they were a very small minority. But that's right. Those numbers don't mean anything if you're progressive. But like you said, there's more. They're currently serving it. There are more guardsmen on the ground in Washington, D.C. than are currently serving in war zones in Afghanistan. He noted that far too many defense secretaries, and he singled out Austin, rotate between corporate defense contractor boards and billets. And this is what has happened here. I mean, look where Austin was at before he came back into the Pentagon. He was on a corporate board, had been on a couple of them. You know, Carlson subtext is too many of our retired top brass virtue signal their wokeness while seeking to make a great deal of corporate money from their prior and often future government service and contacts. And that's the way this works up there. You get into an office. Austin's probably doing it. I don't have evidence of it, but it happens. I mean, it seems to be a standard up there. He'll utilize those contacts that he makes within the Pentagon and already has as a general officer to further his civilian career when he leaves this service again. He did it when he left last time. He's done it. He'll do it again when he leaves this time. Aside from the fact the military usually does not use its top officials to react to journalists, the Pentagon should try to refute Carlson rather than comparing him to the hostile Chinese or things like that. I mean, that was stupid. The Pentagon might seek instead to reassure the public that no physical standards for combat troops have been lowered to accommodate frontline soldiers of any gender. You know, take the higher road here, Pentagon. You know, they keep saying the military. This is the Pentagon. Yes, they are our higher headquarters, but they're not the military as a whole. We've had some good officers up there at the Pentagon. We've had some good civilians up there. But right now, it's not the good ones we're seeing. It's the political hacks that are up there running their head to advance this woke agenda in the services that it doesn't need to be there. We need to be worrying about fighting wars, keeping our equipment up, keeping our men and women trained to take action in these war operations, or in the civilian, in the National Guard's case, in the state and civil operations that we're trained for and that we work for. We need to be ready for those, not some silly woke PC game that makes everybody feel good. I'm sorry. In all these years I've been a soldier, there's a lot of things that don't feel good when I'm in there. Getting shot at is one of them. Leaving home for long periods of time with being away from my family and my friends and those I love and want to be around, that's not comfortable. Those hurt. I'm sorry. Do I need to give you a participation award because you went down the street and stood on a street corner? Hey guys, this is ridiculous. And maybe the Pentagon ought to explain the ubiquitous barbed wire and troop presence in Washington. The militarization of the nation's capital. In fact, it's the greatest militarization since Confederate General Jubal Early marched on Washington in July of 1864. Nobody else, even during the Vietnam War, did you see this kind of militarization of Washington, D.C. And that was a fiasco, ladies and gentlemen. If you aren't old enough to remember when the Vietnam War was going on and all the protests in Washington, D.C. and Chicago and New York, San Francisco, L.A., Atlanta, all the stuff across this country, people were adamant about getting out of Vietnam, but you didn't see this kind of militarization. Yes, you saw things like Kent State, where the National Guard overreacted. But for the most part, those were not insignificant, but they weren't the norm. But yet here you've got Pelosi and all of her yahoos up there, and AOC and whoever else you want to name with this. They want to see this militarization. Wake up. What's going on here? It just, I don't know. Last summer, during the civil unrest agitated in part by Antifa and Black Lives Matter, more than 280 retired military officials and diplomats signed a letter blasting the idea that Donald Trump might send in federal troops to restore the calm. National Guard federalize them at that point. They claimed the mere idea risks sullying the reputation of our men and women in uniform in the eyes of their fellow Americans and of the world. What did you just do? Explain to me what you just did. You just did exactly what you were writing a letter to Trump against. But that's right. That's because it's on Capitol Hill where you work. So there's a different standard there. Oh, no, you can't come to where I work and do things like this. So now the military has announced conducting an internal probe to root out American soldiers suspected of harboring supposedly dangerous ideas. Really? You train us. You train good men and women, upstanding, took an oath to defend our country. You train us how to do bad things to bad people. What kind of dangerous ideas are you going to try to get out of our head or see if we're harboring? I don't know how many times on a daily basis I'll make, and you can ask anybody who knows me, I'll make the comment, well, I'll just shoot him. Now, am I going to do that? No. Do I harbor ideas that are dangerous? I don't know a soldier out there that's had any training for any length of time that doesn't have some kind of dangerous idea in his head, but he's not going after the American people. He's not going after the country that he loves, like our politicians are. What's going on here? The left now dotes on what it envisions will soon be a woke military. It believes that the chain of command can greenlight progressive social changes, from women in combat units to timely displays of massive forces on the streets of Washington, without bureaucratic red tape or opposition from Congress. And that's right. And number two, federal agencies in therapeutic fashion now often dilute their traditional missions to accommodate social awareness agendas. As NASA Director Charles Bolden, a retired Marine Corps Major General, sought to reset the space agency under then President Barack Obama. Perhaps foremost, Obama wanted Bolden to find a way to reach out to the Muslim world and engage much more with dominantly Muslim nations to help them feel good about their historic contribution to science, math, and engineering. Feel good does not ensure that rockets reach outer space. Okay. Feel good does not mean we will be able to defeat the enemy when they attack us, no matter where we will be. And third, there grows a new class rift between the rank and file military and the Pentagon's top, current, and retired brass. I've been seeing this now since I came back in 2008. This rift is growing bigger and bigger and bigger. We do not have the trust in our top brass and the current and retired brass we have up there. Your 1, 2, 3, and 4-star generals, your Secretary of Defense, your undersecretaries, your deputy secretaries, whatever title they give them. There is a bigger rift. We see it, we feel it, we know it on the ground. The boots on the ground are like, you've got to be kidding me. What kind of dumb shit are you coming up with next time? Increasingly, some brass spend extended tenures outside the Pentagon or within the Beltway attached to the White House or Congress. They master the contours of the military-industrial complex and profit from them upon retirement. And they do. That's the status quo up there. That's the quid pro quo. I've got an influence in here while I'm wearing these stars, while I'm wearing this uniform. I can help you when I come out. Many acquiesce to now orthodox progressive ideology, which is omnipresent among federal bureaucracies and much of Congress. You see it every day play out on TV. They've got it on full display for everybody. We used to prioritize traditional military preparedness. Now the leftist administrations see the military as a tool for accelerating the progressive domestic changes. Ladies and gentlemen out there, we've got to be careful with this. It's happening day in and day out and day in and day out. Now it's up there on a pedestal. Like I said earlier when I introduced the segment, Lloyd Austin, man, don't burn your earned and honored stars on entry into this atmosphere. The air is toxic there. Don't sully the military by being a woke progressive leader. It's no place in the military for this. There's no place in the military for that. I'm not allowed to do it. I don't want it seen done. Why in the hell should I follow a Secretary of Defense that's trying to contaminate our military and make us political instead of apolitical? It's nuts. We were talking about all the National Guard around the Capitol. The acting sergeant at arms is currently there. The sergeant at arms in the House has said no known credible threat exists warranting the fencing at the Capitol. This is the sergeant of arms who gets the security threat briefings about what's going on at the Capitol. And there's no known credible threat. So what are they telling us? It's a double standard. We have two stories going on. 1 minute, because they want all these people there, we have credible threats. We're going to have an attack. You've got to be kidding me. The GOP, of course, is saying that, a dangerous precedent is being set by politicization of the military, and it's got to stop. And I agree, it's got to stop. Now, they did announce here just recently, and in fact, yesterday, they announced that the outer fence surrounding the Capitol complex is to be removed this weekend. Now, that's not all. There's several layers of this fencing. The inner layer of security fencing around the Capitol Square area will remain for the time being, but the outer fencing, which has got businesses all jacked up and screwed up because people can't get to them, and that's going to be taken down by this weekend. That's what's being reported. We'll see if it happens. We'll keep track on that and see what we can do about that. See if we can give you some information about that. So I get adamant about that. The National Guard is near and dear. The military is near and dear to my heart. I mean, I served 8 years on active duty with both the 501st ABC, Aviation Battalion Combat in Karabakh, Germany. Then I spent the rest of my active duty time in the 101st Airborne. I was actually a founding member with the 160th Special Operations Aviation Regiment back in its early days from 81 to 85. So and then came back in 2008 after I retired from the fire service into the National Guard, which I'm back in now for my retirement operations, for my medical retirements. So this is near and dear to my heart. It means a lot to me, especially when they attack those brothers and sisters I have served with honorably, and they've served honorably. To see them attacked and to be bastardized the way they're doing, this has absolutely got to stop. So anyway, like I promised, I'm going to get back into this here. I do want this last song, the one we started off with, to play. I really want you to hear it from Tessa Perry from her Grandma's House album. And this is the title song for it, called Grandma's House. So hang tight with me there. Take a listen in. And like I said, this is Tessa Perry, Grandma's House. Oops. Let me try that again. It helps when you get the right song picked, you know? There we go. Not sure, but I'll see what I can do. This is crazy. Okay, it's saying when I switched to her cover, it went silent. So anyway, at the end of the show, we'll try it one more time. I got to get this music out there. I just won't put the cover up this time. So evidently the cover is trying to kill it. Tessa, your cover is killer, but it's also killing. Yeah, so we won't show the cover next time. We'll just play the music at the end of the segment. And this is the last segment. Just wanting to get in here. Really, I love my military, and I love the Guard. I love the active duty. Whether you're Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard, don't know so much about the Space Force. To me, anyway, I'm gonna leave that alone. But we don't need to be politicized. All of our career, we're taught to stay out of the political arena. We can have our own thoughts. We can have our own feelings. We can express those in a private venue. We cannot identify ourselves as a soldier or an airman or Marine or sailor or space cadet or whatever they're called, or a Coast Guardsman. But we still can express ourselves on the outside. Now we have politicized leaders coming in, trying to make us woke, trying to make us PC, we do bad things to bad people. That's our job. We defend our country. We defend our citizens that live here to provide them the protections for their freedoms so they can live as they see fit. We don't answer to special interest agendas or extremist groups or anything. Now, what happens after you get out? That's up to you. That's your call. You suffer those consequences. And shame on you if you use your military training to advance those extremist views and the extremist agendas. If you're going out there to try to hurt the country you defended and we live in, I will protect your freedom to say what you want to say, your freedom to live as you wish to live, your freedom to earn a living, your freedom to practice your religion or your faith or your views. I'll defend those until the day I die or I'm killed trying to defend those. But I will not defend, no matter who that leader is, I will not defend that person who is trying to change us to an extreme political agenda on the other side of the extremist views, trying to make us woke, trying to make us answer to minor fringe groups and try to make everybody feel good. I'm sorry, I spent over half of my life not feeling freaking good, so I can make sure that when I retired or when I got out of the military, everybody around me felt good. They were able to live freely and not under socialist rule. We fought against socialism. We fought against communism. We fought against all kinds of things that were against our democracy and our republic. What in the name of God makes you think I'm going to change my mind on that? What makes you think I'm going to bow to this kind of extreme agenda? I didn't do it on the right. I'm damn sure not going to do it for the left. I don't care who you are. If you want to try to get me in trouble, that's fine. You do so. But the Constitution and the rules of the laws of this nation, and my faith and belief is going to protect me. So those are my views and my thoughts. Again, kudos to Marine Corps Sergeant Mcdonald on the award of the Navy and Marine Corps Cross or Navy and Marine Corps Medal. Well deserved. Semper Fi Marine. I'm proud of you. Glad to know that I serve with honorable men and women such as you. Keep up the good work. Keep on rolling in there. As for our other issues that were going on, ladies and gentlemen, educate yourself. Don't blindly follow the politicians or the naysayers or the extremists or the propagandists or the indoctrinators. Learn for yourself. The information is out there. You just have to look for it. Don't be lazy. Don't let your children get indoctrinated and have their life screwed up because somebody says they don't know their gender or their gender is wrong. Teach your child to say no and to learn. Be a parent, be a grandparent, be an uncle, be an aunt, be a brother, be a sister, be a mentor. Raise your children right. Let's defend ourselves against these stupid ideologies that are coming out that were never part of our country from day one. So that's my opinion. This has been my show, View from a Military Mind, for March 20th, 2021. I'm sorry for the mess ups on the audios with this album. Hopefully, I can get this last song in properly. I will try to do it right. I won't put the album cover up. Thank you, Carol, for letting me know about that. So listen in. And until next week, I will be on military duty next week, but I'm going to try to go ahead and have the show from there. Give you live from a military base where we're at. But until then, stay safe, be brave, stay strong, stand up, and defend what's yours. Defend this country, defend what we love and cherish. Again, Kendall, thank you so much for bringing Tessa to my attention. Tessa, if you're listening out there, thank you so much for the wonderful music. I hope you keep going with it. And if you've got more coming out, by God, I'm going to make sure I get my audio fixed and we'll get it on there properly. But again, thank you all. Love you all very much. Thank you for what you do. So until next week, this is Terry Mills, your host of View from Military Mind. Good day, and God bless America.
This is the